Well, an end is in sight for mandatory face masks, but only if Victoria reaches a crucial milestone. Chief Health Officer Brett Sutton says he will consider easing the rules if the state can record 14 days with 0 cases.
Let's get today's take on this with Shelley Horton from 9 Honey and the journalist at the Saturday paper, Osman Faruqi. Oz, to you first. What do you make of this? Is it too long? Is it time to let the mask go? Are you happy with masks?
I got to say, if wearing the masks is the trade-off we have to go out, go to restaurants, and go shopping, I'm more than happy to put up with it. Like, I kind of think on the scale of these issues here, like, wearing a mask can get a little bit tiresome. It can be, a bit annoying sometimes. It can fog up your glasses if you wear them. But if that is what we need to do to make sure that we can go out and stay safe, I'm into it. It's hardly the biggest impulse. And I think so many people are just kind of leave your house with a mask after the last 3 months. It's not something that I think hugely concerned.
Small price to pay, isn't it? Shelley, Victorians face a $200 fine, though, if they leave home without a face mask at the moment. Do you think the mandatory wearing of masks should be eased? Is 14 days of 0 cases perhaps setting the bar a bit too high?
I think 14 days is pretty high. I mean, we haven't had that in Sydney and we're able to go around without masks. But I kind of agree with Oz. I spoke to friends over the weekend in Melbourne and they're like, we don't care about masks, we get to go to the pub. So they are so excited to be out of lockdown that they're kind of accepting that masks might be the way. And as far as I'm concerned, I have always been compliant when it comes to masks, I believe, and follow the government health advice. So, small steps. I hope that maybe they can reduce it from 14 days once they see how things are happening over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, true. Well, let's move on. A Sydney high school is reportedly paying students if they perform well in the HSC. This is awesome and outrageous at the same time. Auckland's Al Faisal College last year gave its Year 12 students $500 for each subject they scored more than 90% in. Now, Shelley, if I had known this was going to be the case back in my day, I wouldn't have failed Year 12. But the incentive is working. The school soaring from rank 54 to 23 in 2 years. This incentive to pay kids, which at first you go like, God, they should just want to learn. Actually, it works.
I think it totally works. They've got the proof. They've got the results that it works. And I think that we also need to give this school a little bit more credit because it's not just that they're paying them. They have some other rules in place that I think are spectacular, like no iPhones in class at all. They limit the amount of computer time. They do all sorts of things. So they're quite forward thinking. And I think, you know what, if you're a high schooler and you're saving for your first car or something like that, and a way that you can do it is to study hard, that's incredible incentive, and I think go for it. This is a private school, it is not government money, and I think that there are a lot of, I found out that another couple of Catholic schools also have cash rewards for students, and when parents are paying up to $30,000 a year for students to go there, I think the kids get a bit of money back. That's
but here's my concern, Shelley. So this school apparently paid out more than $100,000 to high achievers, and that's all well and good for private schools that have the cash. What about the students at public schools where that money isn't available? Are they going to get left behind? Is this going to widen a gap between private and public students, Oz?
I think that's exactly my kind of concern. I actually think, I would have loved if I had cash incentives to study, I probably would have worked a little bit harder and gotten better marks as well. And I think for kids who are lucky enough to be in a situation where either their school or their parents can give them that bonus, that's great. If that gets them over the line, good on them. But, when you're talking about rankings and you're talking about schools overtaking other schools, then you're exactly right. I think we do need to take into account that some schools have more resources, whether that means that they can hire more teachers or give cash bonuses. That is not a fair system. I don't think it's really accurate then to say, well, this school's doing so well and you should send your kids there because they've got the resources to do it. And there's going to be hundreds of schools around the state, around the country that don't have that kind of resources.
That is true.
All right, guys, stay with us when we come back this morning. The $8 answer to get your kids off their devices.
And Coles' new second-hand strategy to win over tech-savvy shoppers and boost sales. It's all coming up.
Coles is trying to win over tech tech-savvy customers set to sell recycled iPhone 7s at the checkout. The refurbished version is cheaper than a new phone, of course, with the price set at $259 compared to a new iPhone 12, which costs upwards of $2,000.
Shelley and Osman are still here to discuss this. Oz, I mean, I see this when I go to my local. They sell, like, you know, phones at the counters as well. Do you think this is a good idea?
I mean, it's crazy to think that, you know, if you cast your mind back a decade or so when the iPhone first came out, the idea that we'd one day be able to buy them the same time we're picking up our eggs and, you know, like toilet paper is kind of crazy to conceive. But I do think it is a good idea. Like, I mean, I always feel guilty when I buy a new tech product. You know, I want to be on the cutting edge. I want all the latest technology. I want everyone to, ooh, look what a shiny new phone. But I always feel guilty because it's not great, you know, for the environment to just keep buying this kind of stuff. So the fact that they're selling refurbished phones, which means that people who have less money can buy them, but also that they're not needing to buy new products all the time, I think it's a good thing.
Well, it takes a lot of the hassle out of it, doesn't it, too, if you're trying to offload a device. Shelley, would you get in on this? Would you buy a refurbished phone from Coles?
I wouldn't personally. I can't wait to get my new iPhone, but that's also because I'm addicted to my phone and I love it. Would my parents? 100% yes. They don't need an iPhone 12. A 7 would be great for them. Would my, you know, nephews who are teenagers, maybe for their first phone, a $250 phone is a great option.
That's a good idea.
They don't need all of the whiz-bangery that I actually really want and I use for my work. So I think it depends what you use it for, and I love what Oz brought up. Yeah, this is great for the environment that we are recycling and making sure that we repurpose these things that are very disposable.
Gosh, it's been years, though, since I've had a good whiz-bangery, though. You just reminded me.
You never forget them.
Let's stay on phones for a second, though, because Kmart is selling a phone jail for just $8, and shoppers are loving this. It's going crazy online. So it comes with a lock and key, and look, you can put the
gaming
console stuff in there, phones in there to lock them up. One mum revealed she used the item to store her child's Xbox controller. I mean, look, you can use it for so many things. Shelley, as a parent who's going into this generation, I see this as great because, you know, sometimes if you take things away from children, they don't see them. Kids just move on, but if you keep it there, so they're tempted by it, that's like, there you go, look at that, you never get them back unless you're good. That's right, DC. Visual torture is very important when it comes to teaching kids. Look, my husband would be the first to buy this to stop me being on the phone. He's always saying that the phone is like the third part of our relationship. But I love this, and I think it's great for parents in particular. And I was reading online some of the comments, and some of them have said, yeah, it would be great at dinner time that mums and dads included put their phone in there. But I'm actually starting to change my opinion when it comes to, you know, using phones at restaurants and stuff like that. So I'd be welcoming them at restaurants. To me, it's a sign of a really good lunch or dinner if you haven't picked up your phone. Maybe the restaurant could have a cage there, just everyone chucks it into the cage.
I don't know. If you have seen The Social Dilemma, Oz, they will find a way into the jail.
Well, no, totally. That's what I think. This is a great way for kids to teach a kid how to become a lock picker. I feel like that's going to be the end result of it. I kind of feel like the torture element is a bit too much for me. Like, if you want to take your phone, your kid's phone or console away, totally you're right as a parent to like set those boundaries. But the idea of locking them in a cage that they can see and like sort of just driving them crazy through that is very weird to me. You know, just hide them in a drawer.
You haven't lived until you've tortured your kids with stuff that they can see.
Maybe the solution is to put the kids in a little jail for a while. See how they like
that. We
will
be discussing the election later on in the show in America. But guys, it's great to have your company.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coming up on Today Extra, home